Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you guys had a good New Year's. Hope you guys are ready to start 2025 out strong. I know I sure am, because on New Year's Day, we hit 1,000 subscribers. I couldn't think of a better way to start out 2025 either, so thank you guys so much. I am so excited to see what this year brings. With that being said, let's dive into what we got going on today. So it's New Year's weekend. I figured this is a perfect time to clean up the shop a little bit, kind of take care of some clutter that's been hanging out in the corners for a little too long, and give you guys a shop update and ask you guys some questions on what you want to see in the upcoming future builds. There's 1,000 of you guys here now, so I would love to see some interaction in the comments. I would love to see your guys' opinion. There's always stuff going on. Obviously we got the Bronco and we got the truck. Those are the main caveats, but definitely got some stuff going on for that. The truck needs some much needed attention, which we'll be diving into very soon. The rear fuel tank has been leaking for a really long time, over a year now. So I'm gonna get that swapped out. I would like to do other stuff, but we'll see what the agenda brings. Now, along with other vehicles on the channel, we have my Audi. That thing hasn't really been talked about in a while. I haven't really thought about it in a while, to be honest, either. I need to do something with that. I need to get it running again. I need to figure out what's going on. I would like to work on that soon. Let me know if you guys think this should stay a channel vehicle or if I should sell it and move on to other stuff. I keep seeing on Instagram guys in Europe somewhere lifting them and doing some really fun stuff off-road. I would love to do that with that car. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see too, because I think that'd be super sick. So let's dive into the shop. Let's talk about how I want to clean up and how I want to organize this thing a little bit. I have a new toolbox I need to introduce here, which we'll dive into in a little bit. Right now, I really want to tackle this corner. This is a disaster. This is my hardware bin. This is where I just stuff bolts, and recently I've just kind of been throwing things in here and not really organizing it. I want to get better. Dilly gave me these bins. They're gonna be really nice for organizing. I just gotta figure out how to organize it how I want it. So I think the best way to tackle this corner here is to clear up some bench space, which I have here and on the main bench. And we're going to just spread out all the hardware and see what's there. And then that'll help us get an idea of how to organize this, because I want to be kind of nice with this. Let's spread out with what we have and see what happens. Okay, here's what we got so far. I cleared everything away from just the hardware. And now I'm just going to delve into this. And it's just gonna be a lot of just kind of tearing into hardware. So throw some music on, set up the time lapse, and I'll see what I can get into. Alrighty, we have delved through the chaos. Not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. We have quite a bit on the bench, but that's okay, because we got rid of the entire corner that was tucked in here, which is really impressive and really, really nice. For starters, we have all my new hardware, you know, buying from the hardware store or just from like AutoZone real quick. All this stuff is brand new. I also have a bunch of brand new grade 8 stuff. Most of this came from all my Skies kits. Some washers, some self-tappers. All this stuff can either go into my self-tapper organizer or go into one of these drawers here. And then this is all like German car stuff. This is all mostly Audi related hardware. And this is like more American stuff, which there's barely anything on the table, but this is all stuff for like Broncos or trucks specifically, or just US hardware, like some quarter 20 bolts and stuff. Really good start. This is also full of hardware. I have a bunch of random stuff in here that I'm gonna have to kind of go through drawer by drawer, but I'll dive into that once I kind of start putting this into places. Right now I'm gonna kind of go through this and just kind of think about what needs to go where. And then I made a bucket for bolts that I would like to have them really cleaned, because they're really dirty and gross and rusty and stuff, so get them cleaned up and not gross. This is all kind of tedious, and I don't think you guys want to watch that. There's plenty of other cool stuff we got going on in this video, so let's give it one of these. Alrighty, thank God that worked. I am really glad I had some YouTube magic for that one, because that would have taken like 7 hours to really dive through and like fully organize. That would have sucked. Anyways, now that's done, let me give you a rundown on what we have going on in these two drawer sets here. So imagine this, you're wrenching away, you're working on the project, you are so close to being done, you're on the finish line, you just gotta put everything back together, and you either break a bolt, lose a bolt, or round off a bolt, and you need a new one. It's 2 in the morning, you can't go to the hardware store, you can't go buy any bolts, and you want to get it done so you can go home. So what do you normally do? You usually dig through your bucket of bolts, pour this out on the bench, try and find what you need. It's 2 in the morning, you don't want to dig through bolts, you don't want to organize. I hate playing that game. So I decided to spend the time to actually organize all my bucket of bolts, because those car guys, you can't get rid of bolts. It's just impossible. So I actually went through and organized and cleaned this up to where if something breaks and I need something immediately, I can grab it. Let me show you how I laid this out. Here's just a quick overview of the hardware. Everything is now labeled and sorted by size. The plastic drawers are full of used hardware that is still good and usable. The blue bins have 2 categories, new hardware and special/used hardware. I have a drawer for Audi specific bolts because I've worked on too many Audis, a drawer for the special hardware, banjo bolts, shoulder bolts, special studs, things like that, and I have a drawer for self-tappers. The new hardware bins are just organized by size with room to expand. We have metric and standard, along with an empty drawer for future growth. So pretty much for the rest of this weekend, we're gonna focus on this corner all the way out to here. I think it's time to introduce the new toolbox that is going to replace this guy. Alrighty, big reveal time. Let's do it. This right here is one of the original toolboxes that was ever made by Husky, I believe. It is an older version of this Husky tool chest I have here. This was my dad's growing up. He gifted this to me, and I'm really excited that he gave this to me because there's definitely some nostalgia behind this box for me. When I was a little kid, I would just spend hours in the garage while he was at work, just going through every drawer, knowing where everything was at, memorize that so I could put things back when I was tinkering with my stuff. And my dad let me use his tools because I always put them back. Yeah, and then, as I got older, I used this to work on my personal cars. Just grabbed stuff from his while I was still building my own set of tools. That was back then when I was about 19 or 20 years old. I was still living with my dad. We were living in a house that had a 3-car garage where the 3rd car bay went all the way back. It was like as long as this, but it was a skinny single car. That was where I first started working on cars myself. It was super awesome. I kind of had that whole bay. I had a place to work on the car, and then I had a bench and this set of tools. It's really cool that these get to sit next to each other again. It's kind of awesome. With that being said, we gotta explain the layout a little bit. Obviously, you guys don't know my full toolbox unless you guys are my homies. If you are my homies though, be prepared. You're not gonna know where a single tool is because I'm pretty much gonna move every single one of them. Since this is an old school version, there's a lot thinner drawers. As you can see side by side, there's way more drawers here than there are here. So I think it makes more sense to take this toolbox, which is my main tools, my wrenches, my sockets, my pliers, my screwdrivers, my hammers, and move them into this, and then make this box a car-specific box, so specialty automotive tools, sealants, stuff like that. Make this more like a specialty automotive box and make this a general automotive box in a sense. So that leaves with the toolboxes behind here. This toolbox for my electrical stuff, so this has all my electrical stuff. This one will stay. This older toolbox here, this work cart, will be morphed. I'm going to move it out of this place. The plan is to retrofit this into a welding cart, have a welder and a plasma table on it along with tanks on the side. So there's a couple tools in here. I got some more specialty tools that will migrate into this. This will become the welding cart, and the drawers in this will become welding materials. It'll also be the abrasives, the grinders, and then just welding equipment, pliers and gloves and stuff like that. I think it'd be really nice to have a welding toolbox instead of just a cart. Obviously, I've had this toolbox for a really long time, so it's gonna take a lot of work to migrate some stuff out. So as you can see, without going into crazy detail, the main toolbox is a mess. Almost every drawer is packed full. There's no room to expand or even room to house what I currently have. The layout is all over the place. We are in desperate need of a second toolbox. Now it's time to just start moving things over into better spots. Now it's just time to move some of the main tools into the new toolbox. Now that most of the new toolbox is filled, it's time to clean off the top of the old toolbox and see what's been hiding in there.
You can call me.
Alrighty, the top of this box has not been this clean for a really long time, at least 6 years. Feels really good to have this all nice and clean. I'm still liking the idea of turning this into a camera station. I think that's gonna be the goal, is to not put anything back on top of this. But now that we have this all out of the top of the box, I think it is now time to place some musical toolboxes. We need to put this box in this spot and move everything down to fit these boxes right next to each other. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's get at it. I had to raise this outlet up higher on the wall so we can fit the toolboxes right next to each other. Man, these look really, really good sitting next to each other. It looks really good. The chest height, like I like how the tops are the same exact height, even though the top, like the inside is different, but the lids opened up are the same exact height. And the width is very similar. It is really nice. Okay, now I want to put the electrical box next to us to do a side-by-side comparison now. It definitely flows better than having the cart in the way, that's for sure. It works though, looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna spend the next little bit finding homes for the little stuff, finding homes for the stuff on top of the bench, and setting some stuff up. Oh man, we did it, guys. That was so much work, but it is so nice looking back on this. It's so good. Let's show you this back corner because it's much better. So for starters, we moved the hardware over to the right side of the bench because now that it's organized, it's really easy to access. And we got some nice little shelves on top to not make clutter up in the corner. So the corner is much more open now. It's much better for the workspace. It's really nice. I got my work gloves in the corner, disposable gloves, bag and tags, good old scrubs in a bucket, paper towels, and then the hardware. Alrighty, quick little rundown on these toolboxes. We're not gonna go through every drawer because that's just way too tedious, but I'll highlight my favorite drawers. First things first, I got a bit organizer up top here. It's really nice to have all my bits right next to where my impact is. Soft jaws are now in its home and accessible. Metric wrench drawer is no longer cluttered. It is very apparent to where everything needs to be. The drill drawer is really nice. Again, everything is where it needs to be. The drill chap extractor and helicoil drawer, good to go. The measuring drawer, really like that. The specialty Allens and Torx sockets, right above the new socket drawer. That is very open and clean. The plier drawer moving into a deep drawer so I can add more organizers and put more pliers in here. The hammer exclusive drawer. And then more automotive pry tools and pullers and stuff. Just clean the clutter, got rid of what didn't make sense, got rid of what wasn't needed. Torque wrenches now have a home. The sealants are now easily accessible. I know exactly what I have. The fluid components are now in an absorbent area. The punches and brushes are now more spread out, easier to see and grab. The specialty metric and overflow metric now has its own drawer. The copper crush washers and other sealants are in its own drawer. Tire equipment, oil change equipment. Light bulbs for some reason. And the welding cart turned out really good too. I still have plenty of room to grow in here. Gloves, vice grips and magnets. Grinding drawer with abrasives. But yeah, much better. I hope this motivated you to clean up the same nasty corner in your shop and make it that much better to work in here so you can keep wrenching on them projects. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.